Hey there, friend. Welcome back to Daily Dose Radio here in the Bible Bistro. Why don't you come on in here with me and sit down? We're going to study a little bit today in Psalm 22. We started Psalm 22 last week, and we'll do it again. We'll have the last 10 verses next week, or that last 11 verses next week. We go down through 31, I think, next week, but this week, 11 through 20. 11 through 20. So, we began with Psalm 22. This is the Hind of the Dawn psalm. It is a psalm of David, and this is all about the crucifixion. This is about the resurrection. David sees through the eyes of the Messiah. I mean, actually does when we read some of the things that we had there in the first 10 verses last week. My goodness. So it's like a newspaper report. We're going to have more of that, actually, this week, starting today. And I want you to put in mind, as we read these passages, put in mind the passion of Christ. So from the time they took him in the garden, actually, the passion begins in the garden because he's sweating great drops of blood in the garden as he's praying. But as it begins there in the garden, all the way through all the way through the crucifixion and then to the resurrection. We're going to have this. Psalm 22 is going to be a report for us about that long before it ever took place. So let's read verses 11 and 12 today. Be not far from me, for trouble is near, for there is none to help. Many bulls have compassed me. Strong bulls of Bashan have beset me round. Okay, so as I said, we're beginning with the garden. Be not far from me, for trouble is near. Jesus is praying in the garden when he says, Father, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but thine be done. So he's praying to the Father. There's none to help. So we have here David listening prophetically to the words of Christ as he's praying. Notice it says, there is none to help. That doesn't mean that God's not going to help him. It just means that there's no man that's going to help him. I mean, if anybody was going to help him, it'd be his friends. It'd be the disciples. And certainly Peter. Peter's the boldest of the bunch. And yet Peter denies Christ 3 times right there in the high priest's patio. He does. And so here we have him saying, be not far from me, trouble is near. How true that statement is. None to help. That means no man is going to help him. He is, as Isaiah said, he is despised of the people. Verse 12, many bulls have compassed me. Strong bulls of Bashan have beset me round. Now, the men that came and got him in the garden, they were hired thugs, maybe temple guards. And they came with swords and spears and so forth. And they took him from the garden, from the disciples there in the garden, led him to Caiaphas's palace. And while he's waiting for the Sanhedrin to arrive, there in Luke's Gospel, in chapter 22 of Luke's Gospel, in verse 63, it says, the men that held Jesus mocked him and smote him, and when they had blindfolded him, they struck him on the face and asked, saying, prophesy, who is it that smote thee? And many other things blasphemously spake they against him. So the Sanhedrin hasn't even arrived yet, and he's being abused by these men, whoever they are, the men that held him. So they're waiting. So Jesus is in holding, and the guards come in and they beat him up. And other things. We don't know what the other things are. And it's probably a good thing we don't. Some of the cruelty of the cross is shrouded a little in mystery because we will never know probably all that Jesus suffered for us. But we do know, we understand the cruelty of men, so we can imagine. So the strong bulls of Bashan have encircled him, compassed him. They have beset him round. And then tomorrow, they gaped upon me with their mouths. We're going to talk about that. As the Sanhedrin arrives, what are they going to do? Well, they're going to question Jesus. And so we'll talk about that tomorrow. So I hope that you can join me then here on Daily Dose Radio.